Hello, world. I'm Jack, and welcome to English Speaking Studio.
Okay, so
I'm
let's be
Lucy.
honest.
So-
How many of us out there just totally dread the idea of public speaking? Like, seriously, just thinking about giving a presentation or even speaking up in a meeting, my heart starts racing. And you know what? It's totally normal. Today we're doing a deep dive on this. It's called Public Speaking Anxiety in the Workplace. And we've got this amazing presentation that's all about conquering this fear.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny, thinking back to college, I remember this one time I completely froze up during a presentation for my marketing class.
Oh, yeah.
I had practiced for hours, felt super confident in the material, but the second I got up there, my mind went blank.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
It's crazy how our brains can betray us like that, right?
It really is.
But that's why we're talking about this today. We want to understand why this anxiety happens, how it affects us not just personally, but also professionally, and most importantly, what can we actually do to get over it? This presentation covers a lot: the causes, the impact, practical strategies, even how technology can help, which honestly surprised me. And for a little inspiration boost, we'll even look at some success stories just to remind us that this is a battle we can totally win. Ready to tackle this fear head on.
I am. Let's go.
I think it's really interesting that this presentation starts by saying just how common this anxiety is. It says 75% of people experience it, so it's not like some rare thing. Most of us deal with this.
Wow, 75%. That's a lot. It's like a secret club of nervous speakers, except it's not so secret, is it? We can usually tell when someone's nervous.
Mm-hmm.
So have you noticed any patterns in how this anxiety shows up at work?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Our brains are wired to protect us from danger, right? Like way back in the day, that danger might have been like a saber-toothed tiger or something.
But now, for a lot of us, it's standing up and speaking in front of colleagues. And our brain, the amygdala specifically, it sees this as a threat.
Yeah.
And it triggers all these stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol.
Oh, that's why we get that like racing heart, sweaty palms, shaky voice thing.
Exactly.
Like our body's getting ready to fight or run away, but the danger is just words.
Right, exactly. It's like a primal instinct. And the presentation have some good examples of how this fear plays out at work. Like one that I thought was really relatable was the junior employee
Yeah.
who has amazing ideas but never shares them in meetings because they're nervous. It happens all the time. And it can have some pretty big consequences.
Yeah, it makes sense though, right? Our bodies are reacting like it's a real threat. But what kind of impact does this have on us professionally? I mean, it's more than just a few uncomfortable moments, right? It's
Yeah.
got to be bigger than that.
Totally, yeah. The presentation talks about how this fear can actually hold us back in our careers.
Mm.
We're talking like missed opportunities to be leaders, not as much networking. Like if you're always trying to avoid speaking up, how are you going to show what you can do or build relationships? It's like you're sabotaging your own career without realizing it.
It's like we're holding ourselves back from what we could achieve.
Right.
And it affects whole companies too, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Not just individuals.
Yeah, the presentation makes a big point about that. Imagine a company where people are too scared to share their ideas.
Right.
Innovation would plummet. And if leaders aren't good communicators, it's hard to inspire and motivate teams. It's a big deal for both the person and the company.
Okay, so it's something we need to pay attention to on a personal level and from the company side. But before we talk about solutions, the presentation emphasizes preparation being key, like your secret weapon, right?
Oh, yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I completely agree. Preparation is crucial. But you got to be careful how you go about it.
Oh, okay, interesting. How so?
Well, they warn against over-preparing and under-preparing. Both can backfire.
I see. So over-preparing makes you too stiff.
Exactly. Yeah, you get too dependent on your notes, and then if something throws you off, you panic. But obviously, under-preparing leaves you feeling, well, unprepared.
Yeah.
And that just makes you more anxious.
So it's about finding that balance.
Yeah, that sweet spot.
Yeah.
Prepared, but not glued to a script.
Right.
For me, I like to make a detailed outline, just bullet points.
Yeah.
Helps me stay on track without being boxed in.
That's a good tip. Bullet points are my best friend.
Yeah.
They keep me organized, but I don't feel like I'm just reading. But even with all the prep in the world, those nerves can still sneak up on you. I think it's a mental game too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Preparation is essential, but it's only part of it. The presentation also encourages us to think about public speaking differently. Instead of seeing it as something awful, what if it's a chance to share what we know, connect with people, inspire them, maybe even make a difference?
Yeah, I like that. It's all about perspective.
Right.
If we can shift from I'm gonna bomb to I have something valuable to share. That's huge.
Totally, yeah.
Speaking of huge, I was honestly surprised by the role technology plays in all of this. I knew about teleprompters, but this presentation goes into some cool, unexpected tech solutions.
I know, right?
It's kind of exciting.
Yeah, the AI coaching apps are really interesting to me.
Oh, yeah, tell me about those.
So tools like Udly and Orai, they use AI to analyze how you speak, like in real time.
Wow.
They give you feedback on your pace, filler words, even your tone. It's like having a personal coach in your pocket. Pretty amazing.
It is. It's like a secret weapon to fight those nerves. And then there's the classic, record yourself, watch it back. It's a great way to see what you need to work on. Sometimes it's hard to be objective about our own speaking, but seeing and hearing it can be a real eye-opener.
For sure. It's a great tool for self-reflection. You can catch habits you didn't even know you had, like saying too much or speaking too fast. And anyone with a phone or computer can do it.
It's awesome that we have all these tools to help us. It's not like we have to do this alone.
Right, exactly.
All right, so we've talked about preparation, changing our mindset, using technology. But what about making those presentations really engaging? The presentation focuses a lot on the power of storytelling.
Oh, yeah?
What makes stories so compelling, especially at work?
Well, for forever, stories have been how we share information and connect as humans.
Right.
They tap into our emotions, help us remember things, and let's be honest, they're just more interesting than a bunch of facts and figures.
I agree. It's not just about making things interesting, is it?
No.
It's about connecting with people, making them feel something.
Exactly. The presentation gives an example of a sales manager who uses a personal story to show how their product helps people. It's not just a product anymore. It's a solution that's actually helped people with real problems.
Right. It becomes relatable. You can see yourself in it.
Exactly, yeah.
It's like facts tell, but stories sell. And it's not just products, it's ideas too.
Yeah.
It's about making your message really resonate. But even with the best stories, sometimes we need some extra inspiration, right?
Definitely. That's why I like that the presentation includes stories of people who overcame their fear of public speaking.
Yeah, how cool is that?
Real people who faced the same challenges and came out stronger.
Any stories that stood out to you?
You know, the Warren Buffett story is a classic.
Oh, yeah. What is it?
This guy's considered one of the greatest investors ever, but early on, he was terrified of public speaking. He actually took a Dale Carnegie course to get over it.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And look at him now.
It's amazing that someone like Warren Buffett had to work to overcome that.
Right.
It just proves that anyone can improve.
Exactly. Everyone starts somewhere.
Right.
It's a skill you can learn just like any other.
Yeah.
And those stories are there to remind us that if we face our fears and put in the effort, we can do great things.
They are inspiring. They remind us that we're not alone, and it's possible to not just deal with this anxiety, but actually thrive in situations that used to terrify us. Okay, we've covered a lot in this first part of our deep dive. We've explored the root causes, the impact, and we even started talking about strategies.
Yeah.
But don't go anywhere. In part 2, we'll dig deeper into those strategies and give you practical tools to start conquering your fear.
Awesome.
See you soon.
Can't wait. Welcome back. We've talked about the foundation of this, the roots of public speaking anxiety and the impact it has. Now let's look at how to tackle this fear.
I think it's so easy to get caught up in everything that could go wrong when you're speaking in public.
Oh, yeah.
This presentation really stresses starting with the basics, though.
Right.
It's like building a house, you need a solid foundation before you can start adding the fancy stuff. So what's the first step, the most basic thing we should all be doing?
It might sound cliche, but it really comes down to preparation.
Yeah.
Or not just like memorizing your slides or whatever. It's about knowing who you're talking to, having a clear message, and practicing how you'll deliver it until it feels natural.
Right. So be prepared, but don't let the prep itself stress you out. The presentation goes into some pretty specific techniques for getting better at speaking.
Yeah.
One that stood out to me was starting small.
Oh, yeah.
Like before even thinking about a big presentation, try speaking up more in smaller groups or meetings.
I love that approach. It's like slowly getting used to the threat in small doses.
Right.
So it's not so scary. The presentation also talks about joining a public speaking group, like Toastmasters. It's a great way to get feedback in a supportive environment.
Yeah, I've heard great things about Toastmasters. It's like a gym for public speaking.
Totally.
And it's not just what you say, but how you say it, right? The presentation talks a lot about body language. How can we use our body to show confidence even when we're nervous?
Oh, body language is huge.
Yeah.
It can really make or break your message. They talk about things like posture, eye contact, and using your hands naturally to emphasize points.
And it's like our body is sending a message too.
Right.
Slouching and avoiding eye contact says, I don't believe what I'm saying.
Exactly.
But standing tall, making eye contact, using gestures, it's like saying, I'm here, I have something important to say.
Exactly, yeah. And don't forget about smiling.
Oh, yeah.
A genuine smile makes you instantly more approachable.
Yeah.
And remember, the audience wants you to do well.
They do. They're on your side.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think we get so caught up in our own nerves that we forget that.
Oh,
Okay, so we've talked about the physical stuff, but what about the mental game?
yeah.
Those negative thoughts that can spiral before a big presentation. What can we do about those?
It's about changing those negative thought patterns and replacing them with good ones.
Okay.
The presentation talks about visualization.
Mm.
Imagine yourself giving a killer presentation, feeling confident, connecting with the audience. Doing this in your head can actually affect how you perform in real life.
It's like training your brain to believe you've already done it.
Yeah, exactly.
I've also found that just acknowledging those negative thoughts can help, like saying, hey, I see you, but you're not running the show.
Love that. Yeah. It's about being aware of how you talk to yourself and choosing to focus on the positive. You can even have a little mantra to repeat before a presentation like, I'm ready, I'm confident, I have something valuable to share.
Oh, I like that, a personal mantra. It's like giving yourself a pep talk. And for some people, just being the center of attention is terrifying. What does the presentation say about that?
They have a really cool reframing technique for this.
Oh, okay, tell me.
Shift your focus from yourself to your message.
Okay.
Instead of thinking everyone's staring at me, judging me,
Yeah.
think about the information you're sharing, the insights. Focus on the message, not the messenger. It's a small change, but it can really take the pressure off.
That's true. It's about making it about something bigger than yourself. You're serving the audience by sharing something valuable.
Exactly. And remember, they're not there to analyze your every move. They're there to learn, to be inspired, to maybe even be entertained. They want you to do well.
Okay, that makes me feel better. We've talked about preparation, mindset, body language, even reframing our focus. But sometimes we need a little extra help. The presentation talks about technology and how it can help with public speaking.
Yes.
What are some of the tech strategies that you found interesting?
I am so fascinated by the AI speech coaching apps.
Me too. Tell me more.
Tools like Udly and Ori give you real-time feedback while you're speaking.
Oh, wow.
They tell you about your pace, filler words, even your tone. It's like a virtual coach.
It's amazing what technology can do. And sometimes even simple things like a teleprompter or well-organized notes can help. It's not about relying on them completely, but having them there just in case.
Yeah, it's like a safety net.
Right.
It's about using technology to make you stronger and avoid distractions.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, recording yourself and watching it back is always helpful.
Yeah, it's like having your own personal coach, but for speaking. Now, going back to storytelling, you mentioned how stories make things more memorable and interesting. I want to dig deeper into that. Why are stories so important in the workplace? What makes them so powerful?
Stories have this amazing ability to tap into our emotions.
Uh-huh.
And that's what makes information stick. Think about it. We remember stories from childhood, from books, from movies. Those stories stay with us because they made us feel something. And that's the same at work.
It's not just about giving information. It's about connecting with people, making them feel something.
Exactly. And when you do that, you create something more memorable. The presentation has this example of a sales manager who tells a personal story to show how their product helped someone. It's not just a product anymore. It's a solution to a real problem.
Yeah.
And that's powerful.
Yeah, it's like you're taking the audience on a journey. They can feel what you're saying. I like that you brought up using personal stories. I think we sometimes feel like our stories aren't interesting enough or relevant. But you're right. Any story that makes people feel something can be powerful.
Absolutely. The key is to choose stories that are true to you and connect to what you're talking about. And remember, they don't have to be long or complicated. Even a short anecdote can add a lot to your presentation.
So true. Okay, so we've talked about storytelling, but even with great stories, those nerves can still pop up. What can we do to calm down right before a presentation?
Deep breathing exercises are your best friend.
Yeah, those always help.
Find a quiet spot, close your eyes, and focus on taking slow, deep breaths. And remember, even pros get nervous before speaking. It means you care about what you're going to say. Use that nervous energy and turn it into excitement.
I love that. It's like reframing those nerves, like that feeling you get before a roller coaster.
Oh, yeah, I love that. And
It's a mix of excitement and anticipation.
exactly, yeah.
It means you're about to do something exciting.
Reframe those nerves and use that energy to power your performance. And remember, the audience wants you to do well. They're rooting for you.
They are. Okay, we've covered a lot of practical strategies for dealing with public speaking anxiety. Everything from preparation to mindset, body language, and storytelling.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop when the presentation's over, right? How do we keep getting better at this?
It's all about constantly improving. Look for opportunities to practice, whether it's joining a speaking group, volunteering to present at work, or even just recording yourself talking about different things. The more you do it, the more confident you'll become.
Like any skill, right? The more you use it, the better you get.
Exactly.
And it's okay to mess up along the way.
Oh, totally.
I think those mistakes are how we learn.
Absolutely. See those failures as opportunities to learn. Look at what went well, what could have been better, and use that to improve. Don't be afraid to ask for feedback from people you trust, like colleagues or mentors. Their advice can be so valuable. It's like having your own personal cheer squad, pushing you to keep going.
Sometimes the hardest part is just taking that first step. So for everyone listening who wants to start getting over their fear, what's one small thing you can do this week?
It could be something as simple as speaking up in your next team meeting.
Yeah.
Or maybe signing up for a free public speaking course online. Or even just practicing your presentation skills for 15 minutes a day. The important thing is to take action and start building that momentum. Even the tiniest step can make a big difference over time.
I love that. Small steps lead to big changes. And remember, you're not in this alone. There are tons of resources and communities out there to support you. So go for it, embrace the challenge, and let your voice be heard. Now, in our final part, we'll explore something that's often overlooked: the power of empathy in public speaking. All right, welcome back to our deep dive. We've been talking all about public speaking anxiety. We've looked at what causes it, how it affects us, and of course, ways to deal with it. But before we finish up, there's one thing I think is really important that we haven't talked about yet: empathy. The presentation really highlights how important it is to understand and connect with your audience.
Right.
Why is that so important, especially when we're already nervous about speaking up?
I think when we're focused on our own nerves, we forget that everyone in the audience is a person
Yeah.
with their own experiences, their own perspectives, maybe even their own anxieties. So if we can tap into empathy, it shifts our focus. Instead of worrying about ourselves, we start thinking about genuinely connecting with people, sharing something meaningful with them.
Yeah, it's like remembering that we're all in this together. We're all human, we all have our own stuff, and we all want to connect with each other. And when we approach public speaking with that kind of empathy, it not only helps us calm down, but also makes the whole experience better for everyone listening.
Totally. When you genuinely care about connecting with the audience, it shows.
Yeah.
It's in how you speak, your tone, everything. You come across as more real, more relatable. People trust you more.
It's like people don't care what you know until they know that you care. And this presentation really pushes the idea of public speaking as a way to help others, which I found really inspiring.
Yeah.
Can you talk more about that? How can we change our view of public speaking from something scary to a chance to contribute to something bigger?
Think about it. When you share your knowledge, your experiences, your ideas, you can inspire someone. You could educate them, even empower them. It doesn't matter if you're at a conference, leading a team meeting, or just talking to someone. You have the power to make a difference.
It's like that ripple effect we talked about before. One person's voice can make a huge impact. And when we see public speaking as a way to help others, it takes some of the pressure off us too.
Absolutely. We stop thinking about how well we're doing and start thinking about the impact we're having.
Yeah.
It's less about me and more about us.
Okay, so we've talked about empathy, service, and changing how we think about public speaking. But sometimes, even with all that, we still get nervous. Any quick tips for calming down in the moment?
Deep breathing is always a good one. Find a quiet spot, close your eyes, and just breathe slowly and deeply for a few minutes. It makes a huge difference. And remember, even the best speakers get nervous.
Yeah.
It's normal. It means you care. Use that energy. Make it work for you.
Yeah, turn those nerves into excitement, like that feeling before a roller coaster.
Exactly. It's a good analogy.
It's a mix of excitement and anticipation. And it means something exciting is about to happen.
So reframe those nerves. Use that energy to power your performance. And remember, the audience is on your side. They want you to do well.
Yeah, they're rooting for you. All right, we've covered a lot in this deep dive into public speaking anxiety. We've looked at the causes, the impacts, and most importantly, ways to overcome it, and maybe even use it to our advantage. We've talked about preparation, mindset, body language, storytelling, technology, even empathy. Phew. But I want to leave you with one question to think about. Now that you know all of this, what's one small step you can take this week to feel more comfortable and confident speaking up? Whether it's in a meeting, a presentation, or just a casual conversation, remember, even the smallest step can make a big difference over time.
So true. Embrace the challenge, find your voice, and go share your perspective with the world.
That's a great way to put it. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into public speaking anxiety. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep speaking up.